Thank you, Krishna. Thank you very much. I know your presidentship is only lasting for another couple of hours, so congratulations on a wonderful tenure. Congratulations on a job well done. Under your leadership, I think one of the most tumultuous years that we've witnessed in human history. You had to endure that, but unlike President Trump, you've done well for yourself. We can all applaud you on that. Thank you, Mishra ji, once again for endorsing, reinforcing our belief that Hyderabad continues to remain, the mainstay for life sciences ecosystem. Continues to remain the vaccine capital of the world. Continues to remain a very, very strong center for bulk drugs, pharmaceuticals, and the overall life sciences ecosystem. And thank you also for enlightening us on all the new developments, especially on the mRNA front, the RNA front that you just spoke about. Thank you. Thank you for reinforcing our belief system and also for continuing to support the government as well. Shubhajit, Mr. Samir, and Mr. Rambabu, and to all the dignitaries of the dais as well. Firstly, I'd like to thank Krishna and the entire team of CII for inviting me here, because I think every year when CII conducts multiple such events, it gives us a platform to talk to you, to understand from you, to learn from you, and also to kind of upgrade ourselves every so year. Because I'm a firm believer in the theory. In fact, whenever I meet BVR Mohan Reddy Garu, he always talks about skilling, the one thing that he refuses to ever let go of. I'm a firm believer in one thing, sir. I think it applies to politicians, it applies to institutions, it applies to governments, it applies to students, everybody. Skill, upskill, reskill, I think, that's something that we can't do without. So every time I come here, I always learn something, I always pick up something, I always kind of try and, imbibe some of the positives and also some of the, drawbacks or limitations that get pointed out. In the last 6.5 years of Telangana's existence as a new state, I would say, of course, I have the fiduciary responsibility of only saying the good things. So therefore, I will blow my own trumpet and say we've done exceptionally well. In fact, when we started our journey about 6.5 years ago, I keep saying this, there were a lot of doubts on industrialization, the potential of Hyderabad, how the new government could do well, in the sense of ensuring that the momentum is continued. But within no time, within a very, very short span, in fact, today Telangana, wherever you go in the country, whoever you speak to, whichever industry house you speak to, without a question, remains one of the industry magnets, if investment magnets, if you ask me, in the entire country. Among the top 3 or 4 states that continue to attract investment, both domestic and foreign direct investment, we continue to rank right up there. We also continue to rank right up there in the top 3 on the ease of doing business rankings every year. And we continue to also reform ourselves. We continue to also push the envelope when it comes to bringing about policy changes that are dictated and that are kind of dictated by the market and guided by industry bodies such as CII. We've been growing the state economy at an annual average rate of 9%, and we've also achieved double-digit growth in the last 2 consecutive years before COVID. We wanted to obviously grow much faster, but as you know, COVID, not just COVID, but even before COVID, if you think about it, the overall situation, the overall economic situation in the country also wasn't very conducive. In fact, much before lockdown happened, let us remind ourselves, there was 8 consecutive quarters of slowdown, economic slowdown. The GDP, I think, was at 8% or something. It started slipping and eventually it came down to about 4+%. And then eventually it ended up in a lockdown, which resulted in a recession. And now we are seeing slow but steady signs of recovery. As I pointed out, there are some strong areas for the state. When it comes to the state's sectoral performance and where we have done well in the last 7 years and also prior to that, I think life sciences, of course, continues to remain one of the most important sectors. Healthcare, information technology. Now, of late, aerospace, defense, logistics, textiles, food processing. These sectors, of course, continue to remain the mainstay. One of the sectors that I'm very pleased about, in fact, when Mr. Rambabu was speaking, I was saying to myself, they don't get as much credit as they should. The sector that really needs to be appreciated for their performance in the last 6-7 years particularly, and also several decades also, in the last couple of decades if you ask me. They are the second largest employer in the country today. After agriculture, the maximum number of people are employed by the construction industry. But unfortunately, they don't get their credit, as they're not really a focus industry as far as government sectors are concerned, as far as governments are concerned. But I must appreciate the way Hyderabad's construction industry, real estate industry has evolved over the last several years, and today they are able to compete with the rest of the country. Today they are able to, in fact, not just me, but institutions like JLL, CBRE, Cushman, all these property managers, they keep pointing out that Hyderabad's industry, construction industry, has been faring better than any other construction industry anywhere else in the country compared to any other metro city in India. So my compliments to the entire construction and real estate and developer fraternity as well. Information technology, as we all know, has been growing, and in fact when in 2013 and 14, when the new state of Telangana came into being, the IT exports from the state were about 57,000 crore plus. And today I'm happy to report to you, this fiscal, in spite of COVID, we are expected to grow at about 7% last year, and NASSCOM reports and even STPI is tentatively putting it at 1,40,000 plus crores, which is more than double in the last 5.5 years. That goes to show you that the government and the private sector, government can only be an enabler. Government doesn't really have a direct role in information technology, but it continues to remain an enabler. It continues to remain focused on emerging technologies. It continues to remain focused on policies that enable further investment opportunities. Technologies like AI, data analytics, IoT, cybersecurity, robotics, blockchain, drones, all of these continue to remain a big focus for Telangana government. Of course, gaming, animation, VFX, and the homegrown Tollywood industry here also, in fact, have been doing exceptionally well, and also the OTT platforms that have come up also have been doing very, very well, and a lot of content also is coming up from Hyderabad. On the digital front, in fact, we've said this in the past and we continue to maintain this, both infrastructure, literacy, digital literacy, continue to remain a priority for us, and the state government, in fact, is forging ahead with its T-Fiber project and also promoting digital literacy in our state. We also have continued to push information technology as a priority for not just Hyderabad, but also for Tier 2 towns. So Karimnagar, Warangal, Khammam, Mehboob-Nagar, Nizamabad, and very soon Nalgonda, Ramgundam, Siddipet, all of these locations, in fact. Today I'm happy again to share with you that a city like Warangal, which is the second largest in Telangana, has received a great deal of support from the industry. Cyient, a very prominent business house from Hyderabad, from Telangana, has agreed to our request, has opened a large development center in Warangal. My compliments to Mohan Reddy Garu and Krishna for that. So did Tech Mahindra, and so did Mindtree Consulting, which is an arm of L&T Group. All of them have set shop in Warangal. Now, these are the big houses. And then there are the smaller startups, and then there are the smaller, services companies, which also have taken space from the government, which also have done exceptionally well in the last, few years. So I'm very excited about the possibility of pushing more and more, services which can be done elsewhere outside of Hyderabad to those Tier 2 towns, so that we continue to provide employment for our local kids and local students in these Tier 2 towns also. Now, skilling, as I pointed out, continues to remain a priority. While Telangana Academy for Skill and Knowledge has been doing well, I think we could do a lot better, because now with the focus on sectoral skilling, for instance, in life sciences, we continue to say that we are right up there with respect to vaccine manufacturing, with respect to pharmaceuticals. We still have the potential to create great deal of employment for our children. So therefore, skilling is an area which I'm very, very keen on to partner with industry bodies like CII to further the cause. On the innovation front, Telangana government has been known for its agenda to push Hyderabad as the innovation, one of the important innovation hubs in the country, if not the capital, innovation capital in the country. Our T-Hub, T-Works, V-Hub continue to focus and continue to engage with the youngsters from across the country, and we continue to take pride in the kind of products and the kind of companies they have been able to produce and they have been able to create. In fact, recently 5 Hyderabad companies and their founders have made it to Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia for the year 2020, which is a matter of great delight for all of us. We also have been pushing, with increased agricultural production in the state of Telangana with the focus of Honorable Chief Minister, 24 hours of free power to agriculture sector, increased godown capacity, improved yields, and with irrigation being a high priority for the government, we've been able to create more than 1 lakh crore worth of agricultural products from our state. I'm very, very proud of this. But what this leads to is, of course, a potential opportunity to invest in agro-processing, in food processing, and allied sectors. Our Honorable Chief Minister, in fact, has a great vision when it comes to food processing sector. He's, in fact, been promoting the cause of farmers, where they will be able to get a fair market price. And also, the industry can benefit from the agriculture surplus from our state by way of creating food processing, special food processing zones. Now, this is something I'm very upbeat about, and my department has been working together with the Agriculture and Horticulture Department in taking this cause forward. In addition to IT, life sciences, aerospace and defense industry also continues to grow in the state of Telangana. I'm proud that we have several marquee names working out of Telangana, and not just the large companies. In fact, we're equally proud about the SMEs in the aerospace and defense industry, who continue to be the suppliers, who continue to again, make us proud by supplying to, submarines in France, by supplying to the satellites that are sent by ISRO and other space agencies, and we continue to again grow in this area as well. But the one grievance, in fact, I do have, I was speaking to Krishna about it a while ago. Telangana has been, in fact, as I pointed out, a very progressive state, a state which has continued to encourage business, a state which has continued to focus only on getting the job done. Unfortunately, the kind of support that we have anticipated, the kind of support we have expected from Government of India in the last 6.5 years has not come about. Now, I'm going to be a bit blunt and I will speak my mind, and I think I'll have to use this platform also to appeal to Government of India to rethink on priorities, because we hear great slogans. We hear slogans like Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India, Make in India, Skill India, Digital India. All these are great slogans. Without a question, the motive is very noble. But unless we work together, Honorable Prime Minister keeps saying Team India, but unless that sentence or unless that intention translates into real action, things will not happen. We say Make in India, but unfortunately we still are not really making in India. We are merely a country which assembles. We don't really manufacture much here. Let me just remind Government of India, particularly Piyush Goyal ji, Nirmala Sitharaman ji and Honorable Prime Minister, as to what promises they had made to the state of Telangana and to the state of Andhra Pradesh at the time of bifurcation of the erstwhile United Andhra Pradesh. We were promised, the industries in both states were promised special incentives to further, create employment opportunities for our youngsters in these two states. It has been 6.5 years. No special incentive has been given. No announcement has been made, even though it was embedded in the AP Reorganization Act. An act is statute. It's a law. And if Government of India does not honor its own promise made in the Parliament, who will? I think that's a question that needs to be answered, that needs to be addressed by Government of India. They have also promised, the previous Union Government, UPA, had announced information technology investment regions in the country. One in Hyderabad, one more in Bangalore, I think one more in Vizag, another one in Odisha. 6.5 years. No decision gets made. No discussion on whether or not they will move forward with ITIR. And eventually, the Honorable IT Minister comes for an election campaign here and then goes on to announce that it has been scrapped. In spite of our numerous requests, in spite of detailed project reports being submitted, in spite of the well-intentioned, well-meaning efforts from the state government, unfortunately, we have not received support. Had ITIR been grounded today, Hyderabad has been growing. Of course, we've been growing with the support of the local industry. But had ITIR been grounded and had central government invested more in creating infrastructure in our state, I think we would have created a couple more lakhs of employment at least. And we would have grown at a much more, aggressive pace. The central government also promised, as part of the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act, a steel factory, an integrated steel plant at Bayaram in Warangal district, erstwhile Warangal district of Telangana. Unfortunately, not an inch has moved in spite of multiple requests from our side. The central government also had promised a rail coach factory in Warangal again. Again, in spite of state government submitting all the details, giving out more than the land that was required. 60 acres of land was asked for. We gave 150 acres of land. But unfortunately, again, they have decided not to take it up. I can go on and on. There are multiple such things where they've industrial corridors. We've been asking, nothing comes our way. High-speed rails, Hyderabad does not find its place. Bullet rail, unfortunately, it only goes through Gujarat. It starts in Delhi, goes to Bombay via Gujarat. South of India, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad. Unfortunately, we don't seem to figure in the scheme of things. I can go on and on. We've requested for more electronics manufacturing clusters. The 2 manufacturing clusters that were sanctioned by UPA about 7-8 years ago are now to the brim. We want more electronic manufacturing clusters. Make in India बोलने से कुछ नहीं होता है. जगह भी बनाना पड़ता है, but they don't sanction. I can go on and on. In fact, some things are so silly. See, India talks of competing with China and the large manufacturing countries in the world. How do you compete with China? Unless you achieve economies of scale, unless you think on scale, you cannot compete with a large manufacturing country like China. Classic example is, in the recently concluded BioAsia, I met with a medical devices manufacturer. So I was talking to this gentleman and I was asking him as to where he manufactures most of his products. He said, sir, I don't manufacture anything in India. I merely import them from China. I put my label, I sell them in the market. I said, why would you do that? He said, sir, it costs me more to manufacture here than to import. Simple as that. Our import duties are ridiculous. It's a simple example. But the fact is, why are our import duties, why are our manufacturing expenses more in comparison to imports from China or another country, another large manufacturing country? That is because we don't think on scale. When we reached out to Government of India and when we told them that we would like to set up a large pharma park, largest pharma park in the world, in 19,000 acres, and when we requested their support, they are completely blindsided. They do not want to really take up a proposal seriously. I mean, they make all these nice statements. Self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, अच्छा slogan है. But उसके लिए एक भूमिका भी बनानी पड़ती है. उसके लिए कोई काम भी करना पड़ता है. It won't just happen by sloganeering. Make in India बोलने से नहीं बनता है. My appeal to Government of India is, please think on scale. Support governments which have acquired land. Telangana state has already acquired more than 12,000 acres of land for pharma park. Why will you not support us? Are we not part of India? यहाँ बनाने से make in Telangana, make in India नहीं होता है क्या? Just because you have a government which is not really in sync with you politically, that should not be the thinking. My request to Government of India is, in the interest of the nation, in the interest of the country, let economics supersede politics. Let us not take mere political considerations into sanctioning strategic projects. Hyderabad has a very, very strong defense and aerospace ecosystem. So I went and met the Honorable Defense Minister about 2 years ago. I requested her. I said, Madam, we have several large institutions in Hyderabad, DRDL, DRDO, RCI, and several others, defense establishments. There is a strong business ecosystem, strong, SME ecosystem. If a defense industrial production corridor is created between Hyderabad and Bangalore, it will really help the nation. But you know where it goes to? It is sanctioned to Bundelkhand, where there is no defense company. Because they have 80 parliament seats there, and Telangana and Karnataka and Andhra have, I think, less than 80. Now, these sort of posturings, these sort of decisions, which are driven by political compulsions, will not help our cause, will not help our country. A large pharma park is being created in Hyderabad. Support it. A large textile park is created, largest textile park in the country is created in Warangal. The state government has already done its bit. Support it. My request to Government of India is, instead of confining yourselves to lip service, I think put your money onto the promise of making India truly great, making India truly a country to reckon with in the larger scheme of things. I can go on and on, but I will only say one thing and I'll close. We have made great deal of efforts to reach out, to request, to work with them, to ensure that our state continues to grow, our businesses continue to grow. And I do hope that they will come forward. I do hope they will come and start looking at the various aspects, encourage a growing state, encourage a progressive state, and work with us. Even if that does not happen, I have no qualms. We've been doing well for the last 6.5 years with all of your support. We will continue to grow under the leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister. But if it does happen, and if Government of India also supports our initiatives, classic example, when Rakesh ji was speaking, I was thinking, Hyderabad is the vaccine capital of the world. We manufacture 35% of global vaccines in Hyderabad out of Genome Valley. But you know where the vaccine testing laboratory is? We have to take our samples from here, travel 1,200 kilometers to Kasauli, and get our samples tested there. What is the logic? What is the rationale? Can't we sanction a lab here? And does the state government have to plead with you, beg with you to get a lab sanctioned? Even in the middle of a pandemic? I don't understand this logic. So this sort of situation is something that we can very well do away with, especially when there are no elections around. I mean, अगली election तो 3 साल दूर है. अभी से क्या जल्दी है? तू मैं बहुत किया जा सकता है 3 साल बाद. तो मैं दरख्वास्त करता हूँ, विनती करता हूँ केंद्र सरकार में जितने भी बड़े-बड़े हस्ती हैं कि आप इंडिया के हित में, आप देश के हित में आप सोचिए. और हैदराबाद और तेलंगाना एक ऐसी जगह है जहाँ से अच्छे इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट, अच्छे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स, बहुत सारे लोग उभर के आए हैं और बहुत सारा अच्छा काम यहाँ पे हो रहा है. थोड़ी सी अगर आपकी मदद मिल जाती है तो और भी हम तरक्की करेंगे, ये वादा आपसे करते हैं. और आखिरी में मैं यही कहना चाहता हूँ केंद्र सरकार से कि आप देश के हित में, टीम इंडिया के हित में आप जो बात करते हैं उस पर आप उतर आए, उस पर और मेक श्योर दैट you deliver on that promise and help the state, progressive state like Telangana, continue to grow with the support of the industry. Once again, thank you very much, Krishna and the team, for this opportunity.